there's no harm that could come of Met fans changing their mindset and changing their attitude to one of positivity.
Oh, jeez.
Why? What?
I guess I hear you on some level, but to me, negativity without merit is where I'm going to really push back. Like, if it's not earned, that's just wrong. And then there's also the negativity that, unfortunately, Francisco Lindor's wife was dealing with this weekend, which is just pathetic and disgraceful. But for the better part of forever, the Mets suck. And, I think that the way the fans comport themselves is commensurate with what the Mets have given them to react to. Now, if we're sitting here and there's batteries flying on the field or there's just, a level of a lack of civility where we could really say, Met fans, what are you doing? I mean, it's bordering on the criminal element. That's one thing, but I'm sorry. I mean, Met fans are amazing. Met fans know the game, and Met fans are going to be true to themselves and true to their dads and their grandfathers. Give them something to cheer about.
But if you want a different result, and we are all on the same page, right? Even you included, Yankee, it doesn't matter. We're all on the same page. We want the Mets to be good. Now, Obviously, Met fans care about it a little bit more, but we all want the Mets to be good. The Met players want to be good. Now, maybe some don't care as much as we want them to care, whatever it may be, because it's a job for them and they're getting paid millions of dollars. But I think pretty much the most part, the players want what the fans want, what the owner wants, what everybody involved wants, and that is for the teams to succeed. And if going about it one way isn't working or hasn't worked, in specific case with Francisco Lindor, like you see it. We talked about this Friday before, and kind of started the conversation saying that I feel like when Lindor's not having fun and wearing that pressure of wanting to make the Met fans happy. Well, where do you think that comes from? The fact that he was greeted so rudely in his first season because he struggled. I understand the mindset that you have to earn the cheers. However, this isn't working. Fans aren't showing up to games, and when they do, they're not being, they're not there with a positive attitude. I feel like it might go a long way. What's the alternative? There is no downside to it. Go out there, support the team, change your mindset to one of a positive mindset, and see if it does work. The Mets organization needs it.
Listen, I do believe in the power of the mind. I truly do. There was, I don't know who said it. I don't know where I learned of it, but I remember a long time somebody in the golf community said, it was an instructor, like a Butch Harmon type, something like that. So when you're lining up over a putt, don't say to yourself, don't be short, don't be long, don't be left. You want to reinforce with positivity. So you want to actually say, get there, whatever it might be. Or if you're on the tee box, don't push it out of bounds. Say to yourself, let's stripe it down the middle.
Don't worry about hooking one.
Yeah, don't worry about hooking one. I get that. The mind is, it is a tool that can either propel you to heights that you never thought that you can soar, and it can ruin you. When you get in your head, I get it. And specific to baseball, you're jumpy. You so desperately want to put one in the seats because everybody is down on you that you start jumping at the changeup, start jumping at the sliders. Next thing you know, you're 1 for 21. I understand that. But I would say to Lindor, go watch some highlights of Carlos Beltran's first year when he did nothing.
Right.
What did Beltran have? 16 home runs year one as a Met?
Yeah.
And then from that point forward, Carlos Beltran was basically a Hall of Famer. So he's got to figure it out. And
Right, but he also Beltran never had that connection and relationship with the fans that you would want to have between your star player and the fan base.
Maybe he didn't need it. Maybe he's just more mentally tough than Francisco Lindor is. Lindor's got to get over himself. Suck it up, dude.
See, I think
Suck it up.
Piazza, to me, is the greatest example of what Met fans expect, and maybe just in general, forget about even Met fans, although this is the main point here with Met fans, because it is different with the Yankees and the pinstripes and all that stuff. But Piazza, who was not, obviously Met fans loved him, but he struggled when he first got here, and he had the mindset of, I don't care about that. I'm going to go out there and do what I got to do. And eventually he did it quietly as far as he didn't say much. He wasn't getting caught up with the thumbs down nonsense.
Nope.
He went out there and then performed to the highest of level, and now he's held in the highest of regards. He earned that. However, it's a different day and age, BT. And as much as I look at it and say maybe we're getting soft, and I certainly don't want to be that, and I'm old school, these guys, in particular Lindor, might benefit from having some positive reinforcement go their way. Why wouldn't a fan want to do that? What's the negative? What is the downside?
There is none. And that's why I'm not saying don't do it. But, you bring up Piazza. Mike Piazza was able to rectify a reverse and ultimately rectify a rough start to his Mets tenure because Mike Piazza is an all-time great player. Lindor's not.
But he had Lindor's had 2 really good seasons.
Yeah, no.
Statistically.
I get. We've been down the Lindor stuff, and there's a drop-off from what he did with the Guardians. I'm not looking to bury the guy. He plays every day. He plays hard. He's a good player, not great. We've had this 1,000 times. But what is happening is Francisco Lindor is a below-average left-handed hitter. And that would be fine if there was more lefties in baseball where he can hit from the right side than there are righties. I don't know what the exact split is, but I would venture to guess for every 10 starting pitchers, 7.5 or so are righties.
Yeah, you'd rather it be better from the left side.
Exactly, because that's what he's going to do a whole lot more. So now you look at Cohen chiming in, and I don't begrudge him for doing that, although it does signify a little weakness.
Yeah, but doesn't it say something? Doesn't it say something?
Well, what do you think it's? I'm not saying it doesn't, but what do you think that it says?
That there's a feeling within that building, within that clubhouse, that there's a disconnect with their fan base, and this group in particular has proven to be soft and couldn't handle the pressure.
Correct. That's why I'd get rid of all of them.
Oh, okay, but that's
as many as I can.
But that's a different conversation. The fans can't control the player's performance. However, they can control their attitude toward the player's performance. Now, I'm not saying Lindor deserves cheers after going 0 for 21, whatever it may be.
He's got the lowest batting average in baseball. He's hitting 0.35 going into 0.35.
Right, but he's not that bad. Like, to me, you boo effort.
Yes.
You boo bad attitude.
Insubordination.
Okay, all those things. Bad
I agree with that.
Okay. So now you have a player that has produced, whether it's to the capabilities of what he did with Cleveland, whatever. It's that's
he's
not
been a good player. Nobody's
plays every day. I mean, the guy leaves his wife who just had birth.
I get it.
To come play a game. So it's not like it's a player that you shouldn't want to cheer for anyway. And he clearly could use some freaking encouragement because he's scuffling. Now, again, maybe he gets off the schneid with yesterday's performance, but I think just a mindset overall where there is this negative feel with the Mets and the Mets fan base, that I think it needs to change. Okay. And I do believe that it's deeper than just one player. When you have the owner chiming in, you don't think that he thinks about how his fan base has, the drop of a dime flipping on his team. Now, I know they've been bad and they haven't earned the cheers.
That's what it's all about, Sal. I mean, I appreciate trying to find a new way to get this thing going, but the Met fans, think about the cycle, right?
Yeah.
So late 70s, awful. We know the story. Obviously, Keith gets dealt here in 83. And then, obviously, Tidewater goes nuts, and then you make a few acquisitions. You beat the crap out of everybody in 86. You would have been there in 85 if there was a wild card team. You should have won it in 88. We know the ups and the plight, right? That team, I can even make the case that the fans had a deeper connection with the 86 Mets than the Yankee fans did with the 1998 Yankee. You can make that case. The point being, it's not that Met fans are inherently flawed. It's that the Mets team, basically inherently sucks.
Right. But
so how are we going to get on the air and say, go to Queens, go to City, spend your money in a rough economy, and root for a team that's going nowhere? To me, that's hollow. I'm a firm believer in I'm going to react to what I see. Now, I'll be open-minded enough where if you give me evidence to change my mind, then I'm all for it. No different than the Knicks at the Garden when they're bottoming out versus the great win last night, by the way, versus the Knicks when they're now showing the style that we implore our basketball team to have in this city. Show us something, Mets. This isn't high school.
Keep in mind, though, BT, and our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. You talk about how in 86 it was different. And not just, I'm not even going to go back as far as saying the players were built different and we're in a totally different era, new generation, social media, all that stuff. The Mets were born in 1962. The Mets won a World Series in 1969.
Yep.
17 years later, they won in 1986. We're now 40 years removed.
Yep.
So even in the amazing, laughable, whatever, lovable loser Mets in 1962, it only took them 7 seasons or whatever it is, till 69 to win the World Series. And then 17 years later.
And by the way, 73, they got back.
Right. So
they just
they
lost.
had that night. Right.
Yep.
So even even shorter appearance from 69 to getting back to another World Series in 73. And then from 73, but if you want to count just winning, 17 years, which seems like a lot, but it's in comparison to what they're going through now, it's much more significant. So the negativity has been ramped up times 10 from 1986 to now. Not to mention the New York Yankees going through the dynasty of the 90s, which also breeds the negativity and jealousy from the Mets fan base. I think it's got to change. And when you have the owner, it's one thing for me to say it. When the owner comes out and basically says, yeah, that'd be a great idea to go cheer Lindor, positivity could go a long way. Like, what are we, just not going to listen to the owner of the team who's telling you what could help his club?
Listen, I don't know that I would if he comes back to Queens hitting 109.
Yeah.
I mean, Cohen was a fan, although he was a fan of the Yankees. But, I mean, I don't begrudge him for trying to instill a little positivity. I don't. I understand that athletes are different nowadays, but I don't see a Met fan that is predisposed to being unfair. I don't see that. I don't. I think that
I'm not saying that either.
No, I know you're not. Like, I don't think that I can't just flip the Met fan up in the air and take a whack at it and say, you deserve this. I don't think they're out of pocket. I really don't, Sal.
BT and Sal on the fan. Steve is in Newark. What's up, Steve?
Sal, even for you, man, this is an all-time low for you, my friend. I'm thankful I'm a Yankees fan. You want to sit there, you want to hold
Bye,
that.
Steve. We're not looking for you today. Brad is calling from Minneola, and now I hit another all-time low. Suck on that for a little bit. Hey, Brad in Minneola. What's up, Brad?
Hey, Sal. I'm the perfect guy to talk to. I'm 36 years old. I just missed 86. I lived through 99, 2000, 2006, 2015, all 4 great years. Being there at Shea Stadium, being there at Citi Field, the place was rocking. When the team is great, the fans show it. When the team is amazing, that place rocks like Yankee Stadium did in the late 90s. What Steve Cohen is trying to do is replicate what Philly did with Trey Turner last year, and unfortunately, that does not work in New York.
Now, wait. First of all,
Brad,
I don't think he's trying to replicate that. He's simply saying that positivity could go a long way. And I'm asking you, everything you said was right. I'm not disagreeing with it. But why not change if the results that are coming from booing and being negative aren't helping? They're not helping.
So, Sal, it's funny that you say that because I was thinking about that too. And I'm thinking about the fact that nobody went to the games. After opening day, I feel like the stadium just dwindled down in attendance, right?
Uh-huh.
So are there going to be enough people to even do that?
Well, that's...
Listen, I'm a diehard Met fan. And when at the end of the day, I want them to do well. I want them to win 85 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, are they going to? No. So how are you going to get people in the stands to rile around a guy that's only hitting 100? Yes, yesterday was great. After the game, what he said, that he was lost at the plate, yesterday was great. I'm happy that he was a human yesterday, and he always is. I love his press conferences. But he needs to show us that he deserves it.
I get it. I get it, Brad, and thank you for the call. I understand totally, BT, that the idea of earning the cheers. This is New York.
Yep.
We're tough as nails here. This is just how we're built. You have to earn the cheers. If it's not working, though, and you believe, even if you believe as a fan, you're going to the game anyway, or you're watching the team anyway, wherever it may be, what good does being negative, what comes out of that? What good comes out of being negative?
But I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I don't think that, and unless I'm now being negative and not being in the building are two very different things. Are we talking about the volume of Met fans going or how they're acting? Because I got to be honest, Sal, I forget about online, and I do want to get to Lindor's wife, and that needs to be addressed, and it will be. But I don't think that the Met fan right now is being overly harsh or unfair. I just
Me neither.
think I don't. So,
but they're not being overly harsh or unfair, but they're being negative. And
no, they're
help.
being reactive.
Well,
see, to me, negative is like if something is good and you just try to unnecessarily or unfairly shade it. He was literally the worst position player in baseball, and they reacted to it.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's also a bigger picture thing. if being realistic, I'm not saying they're wrong. Obviously, his performance has sucked. He'd be the first one to tell you that. He has said it. Like, we all know that.
He's a stand-up guy.
Right. So,
he is.
But if the cheers and negativity could be hurting the team, the player, the organization, why, as a fan, would you then continue to be negative? And I'm not going to say everybody should go out there and they should sell out every game if you're a fan. No, because there's different circumstances there. What I'm saying is it doesn't cost money to change your mindset. But
it takes wins to change your mindset.
No, well,
it takes progress unless you think that changing the mindset can actually influence the team to the point where it will bring wins.
Bingo.
Which I don't.
See,
that's where we fundamentally disagree. And I'm all for being positive.
I don't think it
Team's
could hurt.
not good enough.
Okay, I agree. I don't think it could hurt.
I agree with that. It's not going to hurt. I do agree with that.
So then why not just change? Now again, you'll get to a point. Let's just say that fans do cheer Lindor, cheer everybody, and the Mets go on some sort of a run. And they make the postseason.
Well, then it's a benchmark, man. It's a movement. That it's.
I'm just saying it's possible.
It's an all-time season at that point.
Eventually, whether it's along the way to the postseason or in the postseason, guys will fail, and then they might get booed based on performance. I think that that's okay. I think it's a bigger picture. I'm not just saying you can't boo. I'm all for booing if it's deserved. But what I'm saying is this team at this particular time, especially Lindor, that specific player, they can use some. It's just gotten so negative around the Mets. Even with King Cohen, I see them talk about King Cohen. People go, yeah, exactly.
Steve P.
Cohen. Right, Stevie P. And everybody's like, oh, what has he done? What has he done? What has he done? Like, if you can't see the positive impact that Steve Cohen has had already without even winning, then I can't help you. And I just feel like so many fans are so the negativity is ingrained in them, and it does more. I'm telling you, it does more harm than good. And if you think it's not performance-based, then it is going to be about players not wanting to come here and take this smoke. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go to the Mets. Why? Why would I go there? Just to deal with the negativity and all the bull crap?
I'm going to give you this much, all right? So the day after Rodgers got hurt, I came and I did that unkillable speech, unscripted, and I just opened the mic and I just said whatever I said, right? That was my way of no longer conforming to what appeared to be a terminal case of losing. Like, I just couldn't take it anymore. So I tried to, and I've always leaned more positively. Like, we love Beningo, but Beningo's, the negative energy, the roof's falling with the Jets. So I've never been that way. And I do believe that there's a happy medium here. Like, I don't think that the Met fan needs to wake up today and say, man, even though we had a couple of good games in a row in Cincinnati, we're going to play the Braves, we're going to get mopped in 4 games, we're going to win 70. I don't mean that you do that now. I am a big proponent, a staunch believer in reacting to what you see. I do. I also believe that there's an element of karma where if you can kind of try to force nature to spin in a different direction, that it could work. So I'm all for banding together positively. I sincerely mean this. Right. Banding together positively. When they're back in Queens, I got to check the schedule. Maybe 5,000-6,000 more people come out. But I guess if it's about the team, that's one thing. Specific to Lindor, dude, you're 30 years old, man. I mean, if you need people holding your hand in year 4 in New York, you ain't built for this.